So what is this fight or flight stress response? Well, if we went back biologically many years, thousands of years, we have this built-in mechanism within our bodies to protect us from true physical threats. So we were under attack by large creatures like saber-toothed tigers and woolly mammoths and wolverines. I'm a University of Michigan grad, so I guess I'm a wolverine. But you don't have to fear me, I'm not going to attack you. In the 21st century, there are no more saber-toothed tigers or woolly mammoths, and very rarely are most of us under physical attack. So what are we treating as if it were physical attackers coming at us? Well, perhaps it's waiting for a doctor's report, or waiting to take a test, or you're driving on the road and somebody cuts you off. Very annoying, right? Have you ever felt your heart rate go up and you're just sitting waiting for something to happen, or driving down the road, or whatever it is you're doing? You're not physically exerting yourself, which is what we usually attribute a raise in heart rate to. But in this case, you're just sitting there, but the heart rate starts to go up. Maybe you're about to give a presentation at work. So what is that? It's kind of strange, isn't it? Well, this heart rate, the stress response heart rate, triggers up and above that athletic heart rate in the 200 beats per minute range. So it's going to trip that high so that your adrenal glands that sit right in the center of your body near your kidneys can release a little cocktail of hormones right from their center. So this cocktail of hormones is going to go right into your bloodstream, and the chief one of these hormones is adrenaline. Have you heard of adrenaline before? There's a lot of written about adrenaline. You know, adrenaline rush, adrenaline junkie. I was one of those. Some people truly are addicted to this rush of adrenaline that is released when we feel we are under attack. When we release this adrenaline, it makes us feel powerful. So it makes me feel we can do anything. You can super multitask, which has been proven to not be the case. We can't really super multitask, we just feel like we can. So this adrenaline rush has got a great purpose if we're really under attack. It's going to go out to our extremities, and its purpose is to wick fat and glucose out of all these cells from our extremities, so our muscles in our legs, our arms and hands, and our brains, and bring it all right here to the center of our body, so we have a massive amount of energy to super fight or super run away. But we're not going anywhere. We're just sitting waiting for the test to start, or the presentation, or the meeting, or our doctor's office report, or maybe we're just driving down the road. So what happens to all that fat and glucose that we've brought here to the center of our body? It lines our arteries and it stays in our abdominal area. So it lodges right on our stomach. That's that stress fat you can read about everywhere these days. And it lodges in our breast tissues. Maybe you already have high blood pressure, or maybe you have arteriosclerosis or some other situation with your heart. Well, we keep bringing in all this fat and glucose here. It's not good for the old ticker. So many of my clients, after just experiencing one session, get the clue, stop stressing out, and all of this changes. All this stress, fat, and high blood pressure and everything. Their numbers get really good. Cholesterol. Well, when that blood rushes through our face and wicks the fat and glucose through here, we turn really red. Sometimes people's necks even turn red. Also, when we wick all that fat and glucose, the palms may feel really sweaty. Back up to the head. When we release all of that adrenaline, our hippocampus back here, which is our memory and learning center, is actually going to shut down, because thinking and remembering is not something we want to do when we're under physical attack. We want to be in a physically reactive mode. We don't want a lot of stuff going on up here in the brain. So this actually kind of shuts down. That's why when you go in to give your speech, you can't remember your stats. You know all those statistics, boom, 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 and suddenly you're kind of tongue-tied, it's not happening for you, and you can't remember these things that you always remember. It also shuts down and impairs our decision-making ability, which is up in here, prefrontal cortex. By the way, this is how it really causes problems with our home relationships. When we're not thinking clearly, it seems like that's when we'll say things that we then later regret. Do you ever say things that you wish, oh man, why did I just say that to her or to him? You know, that was just wrong. But it just spit right out of our mouth. We weren't thinking clearly. Well, adrenaline wreaks havoc in here, and we aren't. A lot of other things happen up here. Your hearing changes. When I coach athletes, athletes will say to me, sometimes I go back to the bench and I can't even hear what the coach is saying because you've released so much adrenaline that hearing changes and it's just like wah, 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 wah into your ear and you can't focus on it. I've had adult clients who have to take tests for their professions and they have test anxiety. They say that here the instructor is telling them what to do, they can't even hear it. It's not fun. So your hearing changes and your eyesight changes too. When adrenaline is released, you're going to get a broad peripheral vision so you can see where the attack is coming from. But your focused vision that you're used to changes. So that's why you'll see a kid in the outfield with the ball coming right at him. He's got his glove up and he misses the ball. What child doesn't want to catch the ball, right? And how many kids do we tell, oh wow, he's not an athlete, get him off the field, because he hasn't caught the ball? Well, if he's released too much adrenaline, not only did his eyesight change, but our reflex is hyper. So we have all this crazy fighting ability and flailing running away, but our focused muscle motion goes right out the window. So that's why this kid in the outfield, whether it's a boy or a girl, misses the ball. Now the ball's on the ground. What happens next? And I've seen this even at the college level. Pat, 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 pat. Why can't they put their hand right on the ball? Does it happen at the pro level too? Why can't they put their hand right on the ball? Well, their reflexes have hypered. So they go to reach for the ball and they pass over the ball. And then over again and over again until finally they get their hand on the ball. So back to the head here. The eyesight, also the tear ducts are going to shut down. And your saliva ducts are going to shut down. Have you ever had that cottony mouth feeling just before you have to give a presentation? Your mouth is all dry and you desperately need water. So your face is red, your mouth is all dry. Just really takes you out of your game, doesn't it? In your professions, whatever it is that you do. Saliva ducts are attached to your entire digestive system. Your digestive system is going to slow down or stop when you've released all this adrenaline. Because metabolizing food is one of the most energy intensive things that our body does. So if you have ulcers or any sort of digestive trouble, you may be releasing too much adrenaline, which is wreaking havoc with that system so it can't act the way it was designed, to actually function. Your reproductive system is actually going to slow down and stop as well, which is nasty. Have you ever felt your legs just shaking and you can't control it? It's because we've wicked fat and glucose out of all of these muscle tissues. And what did the wicking? We had to use water. So we've literally dehydrated all of these cells to bring all this fat and glucose to the middle of our bodies. We've just pulled the plug on our brains. Wow. So now so many neurobiologists are studying the link of stress to Alzheimer's. Why do we have such a really serious epidemic of Alzheimer's going on? Well, we live in a pretty stressed out society. Don't you think it's kind of considered the new normal to be stressed all the time? I want the new normal to be pressure free in every home, in every community, in every school. Imagine a school where there's no test anxiety and all children are free to use their beautiful brains in amazing ways. Whew. I would love that. I would send my kids to that school. I want to build that school. So those are pretty much all the effects of, oh no, I missed one. I always miss this one. This one's funny. When we release all this adrenaline, it lodges in our bladder and our sphincter muscles and relaxes them. So it feels like we have to go to the bathroom. Ever had that feeling? And then at some point your body, this mysterious thing we have, figures out that, okay, physical threat is gone. Now we need to get all these cells back to normal, our neurons and all these major cells in all of our muscles in our arms and fingers and feet. Same gland, the adrenal gland. This time the outer cortex, the skin, creates a completely different compound of hormones. They're called glucocorticoids, and they're going to go right into the bloodstream with another fantastic purpose. This time, they're going out to the cells to get the sugar, salt, and water content back to normal so that fat can transport in and out of the cell. So now the cell is all powered up again. Glucose. We just dumped a whole bunch of sugar into our bloodstream. Is that a good thing? I don't think so. So it can lead to hyperglycemia and diabetes, two very serious diseases and chronic diseases in our society today. I'm going to mention two psychological things. In my Quantum Leap course, I go really deeply into what's going on with our brain. So that's in session 4 of my Quantum Leap course. But here I'm just going to mention two for you. One is that too much cortisol causes you to feel anxious. Well, in a minute I'm going to talk about 4 emotions that trigger the stress response, and one of them is anxiety. Also, when we release that cortisol, it can make you have sleeplessness and make it hard for you to go to sleep. Cortisol also does a lot of things chemically in our bodies. It suppresses your thyroid gland, which is not a good thing because now it's not operating correctly for you. Another thing it does is suppress our immune system. Well, what does our immune system do for us? Just think for a minute. I mean, not only is it protecting us from all the outside bugs and germs that we come in contact with almost every day, but also within our bodies. Every one of us has little baby cancers in us right now, little tiny growths, but our immune system is able to deal with all those. So that's huge, really. It's one of the biggest benefits of pressure-free living is that your immune system can take a huge lead. So let's see, cortisol does some other things. It actually atrophies our muscles and our bones, makes them smaller. When I learned this little bit of information that I'm about to share, it really blew my mind. When we release these stress hormones, for the male body, it takes up to 9 hours for your body to dissipate all the stress hormones out of the cells and you get back to normal. Well, 9 hours is a long time. But for the female body, hold on to your seats, everybody, 24 hours. It takes up to 24 hours for the female body to get back to normal after a release of the stress hormones. When I learned that little fact, I said, okay, I have never been clean of these internal drugs since probably age 11, maybe even younger, but I seem to think 5th grade, right around age 11. The tensions start to build in. Wow. So until 2010, each and every day, something would cause me to feel, and here are my 4 A's, anxious, angry, annoyed, or ashamed, at least once a day. And those A feelings are what cause my heart rate to go up and cause the release of the stress hormones. At least once a day. For my entire life until 2010. It is over. I'm never going back. Never going back to the old stressed out way, the new normal. Forget that. I'm in the new normal, which is pressure free. So how do we do it? Well, that's when I came up with my amazing, I consider it a miracle, really, my 10-second solution. April of 2010, when I developed this idea and came up with these tools, I can't think of anything more miraculous than gaining back my life, gaining back control of my life using these tools. When you go the whole day and you don't release these stress hormones, it's unbelievable. It's so unbelievable because that night, when you go to sleep, your body's going to heal the way it was intended to. It's not going to spend the whole night just trying to get those hormones out of your cells. By the way, why this big disparity between male and female? The only thing I've been able to find in my research is that biologically way back when, the men were all out protecting. So you're on the front lines when there's a tribal war, and all the women are back here with all the children, stressing out 24 hours, 24/7, right? And the male body had to recover faster because it's got to fight. That's why if you have an argument, male-female, the guy's fine a few hours later. A woman isn't. Even the next morning, she's still upset. Her cells and her brain are still upset. They're still in it. They're still in the cloudy fog of stress hormones. We don't need that. We just don't need it.
With you.
If you sign in here and put your name and email address, I'll send you 5 free tips over the course of the next 2 weeks so that you can learn more about what my coaching is like and decide if you want to take an e-course with me or if you want to work live with me. In fact, down below here are links where you can do that right away. So you can click on there to find out more about my e-courses and more about my live coaching. Below me here are testimonials from various people who have taken my course and had amazing changes happen when they start living a stress-free or pressure-free life. I hope you'll join me right away and get started with pressure-free living. It can make a huge difference in every facet of your life. I'm Al Ingalls, and I'm wishing you a pressure-free day.